Okay.
That was a great show, folks. I'm glad you joined us. Bye.
Hey, have a good night,
So,
everybody. I'm exhausted.
Welcome to episode 147 of Ripping the Rack podcast. We're also part of Google Maps and MapQuest. We are
Is that our sponsor today?
our sponsor today is Google Maps.
Google Maps.
Wait, 2017
Never
or
mind,
2024? I just want to clarify.
No, we're going to be AAA Triptych. We're going way back.
I like it.
Yeah. Nope. Let's see. I'm your host, Tim. With me today, we're going to start up north. He is the so-called King of the North, Calvin
True
Locke.
thing.
How are you, buddy?
Howdy, everybody. Good.
Howdy.
Howdy. I like it.
we
I do the crown thing, and it's like a signature thing now. I just do it.
Okay. Okay. All right. We have just down the street from me, we have Mr. Brian Athern, Mr. Coastal Crusader. How are you, Brian?
Greetings and salutations, everyone. We have a wonderful guest. Let's have a good show.
Oh, who do you got?
Yeah.
Nobody.
You
A
said
true
it.
gentleman.
Yeah.
We have a true gentleman on the show.
The
This evening.
We have
thing.
a true gentleman and
One of
scholar
the
on the show.
nicest people I've ever met.
We have the shitty Finn.
There
want
we
the
go.
other one. Where's
That's
she?
the fifth best in the house.
He's definitely the fifth
He's
best.
the Biggie
house.
Finn.
That's just because I don't have a
he's
pet.
the Biggie Finn.
Yeah.
He is not the itty bitty Finny.
No.
No. We have
No,
Danny
not
Finn
by
with
any
us.
stretch. What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on the show.
Did he
Appreciate
sign a
it.
contract and a waiver and everything?
I didn't
I mean,
have
he
to when
does
I was
do
on
another
I'm not a
show,
wrestling. I'm
so.
not like a. What's that door? The
We
wrestling
don't
door?
have a forbidden door.
Is it the
We
four?
don't
Yeah,
have-
I didn't know if that was the case where like the podcast could cross over through the forbidden door.
Yeah, no.
we can
it's
do
not
that,
a
just
thing.
not with everybody.
Yeah.
Nico, hands down.
Well, it depends, Nico, on what you mean by participated. I was
Tim
there.
ran the thing.
That's how I
ran
feel
it.
like in most tournaments I bowl in. I mean, I was there. Like,
Yeah.
We can talk about that. We'll get to that. We've got a jam-packed episode here. We definitely can't go over. And I told Sean Sears that we would not go over an hour and 30 on this show. Yeah, definitely not over an hour and 30 on this show. So
Definitely not over an hour. I'm tired.
you didn't even do anything.
I
signed
didn't.
on.
You obviously did not see my Facebook post that I just did about half an hour ago. I
did.
walked a lot this weekend.
Yeah,
I probably have more steps in one day than you had all weekend, and you were at a bowling tournament.
I don't know about that. I
Oh.
walked a lot. I stood up a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did a lot of walking around the city of Toronto. Went and got a couple games, got on TV. I'm infamous for the arms in the air. Let's go. Game tying
Reese's
home
Soccer
run.
running on the field.
I wish. Hey, there's the good Finn.
Gina chat.
She's in there. She's chatting away.
Yeah, there we go.
I like it. We're ready to go.
Yeah, you do have the wrong guess if you need a time limit.
Yeah.
We don't
wrong.
need a time limit. We don't need a stinking time limit.
Where we're going, we don't need time limits.
That's right. So let's start with Calvin, because we're coming into the beginning of the season. What's going on up in Canadian land?
Tournaments are coming and leagues are coming. That's about it, man.
That's it right there.
That's
Leagues
it,
are
yeah.
coming.
They
League
have
are-
3 more weeks of softball and ball
Yeah.
before bowling.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are apparently not going to make the first couple weeks of leagues because softball is still a thing. The first tournament I can think of on the top of my head is BJ's tournament. I don't know if I still don't know if he ever comments on these. I don't know if we have the 6th American team, but I think we're all set for that tournament. I think if everybody's excited, we're ready to go, and it should be a really fun day. Yeah, that's about it. I haven't seen any posts from Ryan Hogan. He's supposed to post the schedule. I'm sure he's probably working on that, but I haven't seen much yet, but a lot of places are posting. So everybody's kind of signing up and getting ready for the new year, new season. My adventures are about to end because bowling season is about to start. So, we're ready for a new season. I'm excited. So
Nice.
yeah.
All right. Bear with me. I had I had it right here and it went away. The weekend tournament that we just had in Augusta was the 16th annual mixed international mixed doubles.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been that long now.
That's the 16th. Yep.
I remember going to the first one.
Me too.
And this is the 16th.
Yeah.
Yowza.
Yep. So congratulations. First, I'm going to just get it out of the way. Here. Congratulations to Craig Holbrook and Faye Sawyer.
He always wins. Isn't it like he's either in the finals or he wins?
I believe that is his fifth or sixth that he's won.
Winning. Yeah,
winning,
but probably 12th time in the finals because every time it's either Craig.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
He, I tell you what, he at 842 years old, the dude can still bring it when he needs to. He
finds a way.
I mean, he took down some young kids in the playoffs between Cole, Josh, and I forget who else he bowled, but it was pretty impressive to watch him. He struggled he struggled a little bit, and then all of a sudden the playoffs hit, and he was like, "Okay, I'll bowl."
Decided to play all of a sudden.
Yeah. He it was fun, and obviously the most controversial thing happened this weekend. Let's get this out of the way.
Josh got
Craig
the final.
Craig
I saw the picture.
I'm going to for those that did not see this.
I missed a picture.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to hold on. I'm going to share it
here. To Craig, it may be worse than taking.
You might want to put up a warning first. I don't know.
Oh, that one. Oh, yes.
Wearing, holding, and drinking out of a Pepsi cup.
And there's Pepsi in the background. He's like double advertising for them.
And of course there's Corey Smith that just apparently has never seen Lady Parts before. So yeah. So that was I think that if that's not the most controversial moment on Candlepin Bowling this weekend, it's got to be right up there.
Had to be. I couldn't believe I saw it. I had to double check, and I'm like, it can't be. It's got to be a mask or something.
It was, and the funny part is though, Craig was like, Tim, you got to get a picture of this.
Oh, so Devish in the chat works for Frito-Lay, so I'm sure he was pumped to see Craig sipping on a Pepsi.
That's funny. Don't bother looking at the picture. I didn't even realize that was blurry. I took the pictures and I'm like, I'm tired. I'm ready to go home. But thankfully, Lynn Thompson did post a much cleaner version if someone would like to go see that.
I literally thought I had my glasses off. I reached to see did I not put my glasses on when I saw that photo?
I like I said, I was just trying to.
Do you ever clean the camera on your phone? Ever?
Every other picture I took was perfectly clear.
I was following along until that one.
Yeah, that was the unfortunately it was one with a lot of the stats on it, but Josh Daly was high average for the weekend. Him and Corey Packard both were 122. We had Sage Johnson was high average for the women at 117. Again, it was a lot of fun.
How was the new scoring?
How was the new scoring?
Yeah.
It looks complicated.
So what do they have?
I don't know. It's automatic.
Thanks.
So here's the problem, and this is the only hiccup all weekend. And Mark laughs now. Sam had told him, "Hey, let's test this tournament and make sure that it runs smoothly." And Mark's like, "No, it's all set. They told us how to do this. We got it set up. We're good to go." And it wasn't. So we started about a half hour late on Saturday. And then the first string was a little bit of a hiccup. But after that, it ran great.
Cool. No,
I was going to ask, was it Cubica? Do you know? Yeah, because that's what we have.
You were there all weekend. How do you not know?
Because I don't run the system. I take all the papers. I make the announcements.
Yeah, but you were watching all weekend.
I know.
And you took the 2
minutes.
I'm not watching
the scoring system. I'm watching the
2
bowling.
minutes to walk down in the pit to take a picture of Craig. You didn't just look at the scoring system and see what it was and
take a quick. That's
yeah. Like, jeez.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And yes, Nico. I mean, that's going to happen. Any automatic scoring in Candlepin Bowling is it's going to occasionally miss a ball. And unfortunately, it's not designed for Candlepin Bowling. It's designed for the type of bowling that we shall not speak of.
So was it auto reset? Was that the issue?
No.
Okay.
No, we turned that off. That's,
We just found out how to turn that off like a year ago.
Yeah, it was
it's awful.
Now you can have best boxes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Now you can have 9-pin tournaments.
That too.
We always had the button that worked. The problem we would have is like if a pin slid and it would read so say it was your second ball and a pin slid.
Yeah.
And Millis surprise pins sometimes slide. And sweep comes down, you don't have a shot at at the 10 or whatever else. Or even a strike, you drop 9 when a pin moves off, you can't shoot the spare.
I only saw that happen once the entire weekend. And the funny part was, so Carl Witham threw a 9-pin drop with wood, and the system just reset. And he just was like, all right. So he throws his ball, throws a 9-pin drop with wood. So
really? Well, that's good then. That's good. You kind of
at that point you almost want to rush your next ball because you're afraid. You're like, please don't reset again.
Yeah. But that I will say from they set it up. Once they got it going, it was set up so you didn't have names. It was just 1, 2, 3, 4, and things went very smoothly after that. I'd say the second string. And matter of fact, even though we got out of we started a half hour late. We got out of there. It was 5:30, 5:45 on Saturday night, and we were out of there yesterday with playoffs and everything. I was home by 5:00. So it ran great. So Mark and Sam have done a fantastic job in there. I can't say enough about the changes they've done. If you have not been to 1710 lately, you got to get up there. They put a lot of time and effort into that place. The food was fantastic. The beverages were cold.
The place looks great. The new floors, the new
place looks great.
The new seating.
Pinfall was tough this weekend. High single was 157 for the men, and that was Craig and Matt Huff. And Melissa Sitton had a 143, which was high single for the women. It just nothing big, consistent, but nothing overly big. Matter of fact, the biggest string actually was Cole Fry in the playoffs when he went playoffs. He went spare triple strike and then missed an 8-pin drop, but it had 107.5. So I think he threw like a 160 something. So, but yeah, no, Mark and Sam did a fantastic job up there. I was lucky enough
this year.
Huh?
I'm excited about league there this year.
Yeah. I was lucky enough. I feel lucky enough that Mark asked me to run the tournament. So I had a blast with it. I miss bowling. I will go on record as saying I officially actually miss bowling. I miss being up on the lanes.
Till he has to wake up at 5:30 to make a 9 a.m. start time for a bowling tournament.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
once you're there.
I miss it. I miss the competition. I'm glad to have a small part in it, but I really, really would like to bowl again. I don't know. We'll see.
Thank
let's
you,
see.
everybody, for the birthday wishes. People who are posting. It was a good weekend. Good birthday weekend. I would have been bowling on my birthday, so that definitely wasn't.
I did that for the Mixed Worlds this year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just a couple of quick tournament. Obviously, we've got the Pro Series coming up in September. Check them out. I believe it's the doubles in September, if I'm not mistaken. September 20 something or other.
22nd, I think.
Yep.
And hey, it is early. It's getting early September. Get your friends that don't bowl to come to league with you. They will catch the bug. Get them to come to league when you start. Support your local bowling alleys.
I actually found summer is not a bad time to get people too, because they're usually a little bit more laid back and it's a shorter commitment. Because I just got a buddy of mine bowling in a league for the summer, and I think he's starting to want to do it a little bit more.
Nice.
But yeah, because I think for some people, when you tell them it's 32 weeks, it's a long commitment for them. But if you can get them on 15, it's an easier sell.
There's a couple houses around do split leagues.
Yeah, we don't, but I've heard of that, and I don't think it's a bad idea.
We do them here in Moncton. We do splits. You bowl the first half, and then it doesn't carry over to the next half, which a little bit I don't like, because I enjoy a year-end playoffs. I enjoy kind of a year-end.
Yeah. So we do that. But I'm talking completely new rosters. We don't have anything like that.
Well, you can do that in our Thursday night league. We split it, and at the half you can switch teams if you want. And we have a few people that bowl with their regular team in the first half, and they go bowl with their kids in the second half.
A lot of people don't like to commit because they have softball and stuff like that up until then. And then the second half is easier because it's after Christmas and all the stuff, and they don't have any trips and stuff planned. So, yeah.
There's a bunch of people in chat talking about how more and more are going into split leagues, whatever you want to call it.
I don't think
it's good though if you have kids in high school sports, because if they play a fall sport, you may not be able to bowl then, but you could bowl January to win whatever.
Candlepins for Cancer, any doubles, 95% handicap qualifying rounds and top 5 live show will return to the Big 20 in Scarborough this October. Averages based on Winter League final average. Qualifying rounds are October 2nd, October 3rd, October 5th, after the ICBA Championships, which is that Big 20 as well, on Saturday, October 5th. You got Sunday, October 6th, and Saturday, October 12th. Top 5 show will be Saturday, November 16th. So contact candlepins4cancer.com for more information and to get in on that. And seeing as how no one sent me any information on what they would like us to talk about, I wasn't going to, but you know what? I want to, Danny. I'm going to bring up, I feel it's important that you apologize for
being an ass.
No, seriously, I do want to. If anyone is not aware of what we're talking about, there was a gentleman that threw a.
That's an interesting term to use, but okay.
Yep. Well, he threw a temper tantrum. That's the term you're talking about.
I was talking about gentlemen, but okay, go ahead.
Look, I'm not going to besmirch or denigrate his
merch. That's a big word for you, little man.
I used it today. Did you not see my post?
He practiced
me long enough. I match tone, be it verbally or written. So I match the tone with which things are written.
I'm gonna say my piece on this because I read all 842 responses. No, I think it's 250. There is a reason why there was not one person that stuck up for this person. There is not one person that I spoke to this weekend in Augusta that stuck up for this. When you're looking at, and Danny, I'm going to have you talk about this in just a second, but this is just coming from outside the area. When I look at this league and I look at the parameters of the league that you're looking at from the TD Garden, approximately an hour and a half radius, correct?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be an hour. The rule that was the way it was written was it's 90 minutes from TD Garden, no traffic. That's the way the rule was written.
Okay. we all know that no one, unless you're traveling at the speed of holy shit, can you make it from the TD Garden to Springfield, Massachusetts in 90 minutes.
Right.
Okay. Everybody knows that. So to use a map from 2017, and if I'm not mistaken, it was the map that they used went from Springfield or from Holyoke to TD.
So so I will say this, after the whole thing had happened, he did come up with a map that showed it was like an hour 25. I don't know what the time was. And I can say exactly what had happened. So I took over this league in 2021, I believe. This is my 4th year running the league. Frank Cheech and Lamoni ran it before. I never wrote that rule. We've made a lot of amendments to rules, and I swear, like, every year we learn something new. There was a year streaming was an issue. We had to nail down some of the streaming issues. Then there was people falling behind matches was our issue last year. This year, our issue seems to be location. I had a couple of people looking to go further down the Cape. I had some people wanting to bowl in Sanford, Maine, and I had some people wanting to go further west in Massachusetts. So anytime we got a new house, I went on Google and I looked at the estimated times. Obviously, I'm not up at 2 or 4 in the morning looking at times for every bowling alley. If I'm up, that's not what I'm thinking of. And so I looked at 2 a.m. and it says estimated time 1 hour 40. So I sent that to the committee. I said, what are your thoughts? They had agreed, like, it's a little too far. I know that when the ACST first started, they had 32 bowlers. And it's a brand new league. They're trying to get people. I think they were looking for who they can get. Today, as you stated earlier, we have 164 bowlers. And I have to make sure that, 1 or 2 bowlers in one location isn't going to upset 8 or 9 people and make it so they don't want to bowl. So for me, this was more of like a learning experience of like, okay, so this is our issue this year. We're going to revisit this rule. We're going to write it in a little bit more specific terms and kind of keep it more in the locations where we are. People, I know it's a travel league, but there's a limit to how far people are willing to travel. And I got some pushback from people that said, I don't really want to go that far. And, and like I said, when we looked it up, it didn't look like at the time. And if you look up TD Garden and do the estimated time 2 a.m, you're going to see 1 hour 40. And that was the decision that we had used.
So here's my take. I live in Maine. Brian and I have done this for years. We've commuted together to bowl in many leagues. It's very tiring.
Yeah.
It is.
The last thing you want to do after you bowl bad is drive 1.5 hours.
Oh.
Even to me, 1.5 hours it's too far. It's too far.
I used to go to Bangor and bowl Monday nights when I just got out of college. When I was still in the Monday Night League in Bangor, I drove Rockland to Bangor to bowl. That's about 1 hour and 40. Yeah.
It's when you work all day and you're doing a singles league like this, and you've got to go from, I don't know, what's the furthest north that someone, or if you're in the South, say,
Wakefield has kind of become a flex house because we got a surge of North bowlers because Boutwell's all like we had no Boutwell's bowlers, and then we got like 2, and then they just started pumping bowlers out, which is Brian Hebert's saying it's probably Boutwell's. It's probably the farthest.
Okay.
So we that's for the North, and then for the South is probably Wakefield.
Okay. So if I'm on the borderline, and let's say I'm in A North, okay.
Yep.
And I think Mark's a good example of this because he was in Springfield. He was in Sanford, and he actually committed to bowl out of Portsmouth.
Yeah, so he was a very similar example to the situation that we had, and I said, I know it's right on that bubble, but if we add that house, you're going to have a lot of people not thrilled.
Portsmouth to Boutwell's is not an easy drive.
Yeah,
going up because you have to go 101 to Manchester. And then it's 93 from there up to Concord.
Right.
I think, if I'm not mistaken. It's something like that. Manchester to Portsmouth is still, on a good day, 40 minutes. On a bad day, it's over 1 hour.
Yeah,
That's just the Manchester.
And we also, you have to remember, it's from TD Garden. We have bowlers also on the Cape. Like I had,
right.
You know, because he brought it up in that thread. Pete Ricciatelli was looking at Orleans. Orleans to Holyoke is a hike. Like,
Yeah.
it's not. We're not all coming from TD Garden. Like that's where it gets, to be difficult. And it's you're asking a lot of people. And we made the decision based on what we saw on Google at that time. And had we got that information, if he had sent something out, as it came, because we didn't fill that spot till Friday, we could have handled it differently. But it wasn't handled that way, and unfortunately, like we had to move on, and that was the decision that we made. And we are going to tighten up that rule so we don't have that issue for next year.
So number one, I am extremely disappointed in how this was handled by said person, not by you, Danny. Okay. I've talked to you about it, and I talked to some others that are very familiar with the ACST and bowling the ACST and everything else. So I am not a huge fan of blowing up Facebook because you had a temper tantrum. You just showed your class is what you did.
I mean, I'm going to say we didn't lose one bowler. I don't know what the
Huh. And so here's my take. I'm going to say this.
Your way, pal?
How about this? And I'm going to say this, Jason, if you're listening, start up a Western ACST type of league. If you're not happy with it, start one up.
Yeah, we're fine with that. I mean, he actually did try to start one, and we're fine with it. Like, we just told him don't call it ACST.
And you actually promoted that.
So that was actually, and it's funny that, and I'm not trying to take digs at the post, but the term bully, that I was being a bully. The funny thing was when he started that Western spot, we were looking to do that. We were going to go West, just like we went to Maine, and we had a couple of bowlers that said they wanted us to try to create a West division. We looked into it, and then all of a sudden, he started pushing for it, and some people said you should try to do it too. And I said, you know what, if he wants to do it, I'm not going to compete with him. I don't want to look like I'm trying to use what the ACST has become and say, get out of the way, we're going to do it. If you want to do it, you're a Western Mass guy, knock yourself out. And I never told people not to do it. I didn't we weren't competing with him. So I wasn't trying to bully him out of the spot of running it. I was fine. You run yours, we'll run ours, and bowling's better for everything, right? The more stuff we got, the better, as long as we're not stealing from each other.
Not only that, if I'm not mistaken, you didn't say he couldn't bowl.
No,
all he had to do was find another house to bowl.
Yeah, I think I told him Diamond Junction, Rollaway, Bogey were probably the best options, because we had the same issue with Agawam. We had two bowlers who wanted to bowl out of Agawam. I said, it's just outside that cut. And one of them chose Bogey and the other chose Diamond Junction.
Okay.
So
they made an adult choice.
Yeah. I had a bowler who wanted Canal. He went with Rollaway. So so it wasn't a direct target at that one, the one person. It was, and maybe if he said okay, I'll do that. But if I find proof that it's under the hour and a half, what can I say? That's in our rules. But all I had at that point was something from 2017 and then estimated Google times that were telling me that it was over an hour and a half. And if I'm wrong and I let him in, now I have people coming all over saying, well, it sucks that I had to drive all the way out there. The rule states this. We voted as a committee with the information that we had at that time.
Yep. Danny, I think you guys did the right thing. I think and I'll say it right now, I think you dodged a bullet.
Thank you. In hindsight, because, and we've had it, where we've had people in and then halfway through we're like, we probably shouldn't have done this. Like we might've made a bad call with this. There's been people that we don't have back for different reasons. I'm not going to name names, but I had a bowler that no-showed a match. So he no-showed a match. And then, so I'll tell you who he bowled. He was bowling against Steve Reno, and he no-showed him. Steve said, okay, we'll find another day. Things happen. So they rescheduled. He no-showed him a second time. So I told Steve, just bowl his average. You're fine. I said, we'll figure it out. So I basically gave the guy last warning. He got fined for it. His next match was against me. No-showed me. And I'm like, okay. And he keeps signing up every year. And as a committee, I'm like, we're not bringing this guy back. Yeah. There was no like, hey guys, I can't. It wasn't even a last minute, I can't make it. It was just.
Didn't show up.
Yeah. And it's like, and he's like, well, I can do home matches. I'm like, well, everybody can do home matches. Like the hard part is getting out there and traveling. And I know everyone's got their own thing, but I'm pretty easy when it comes to, communication. Like if you're open with what's happening, I'm willing to work with almost everybody. But when I'm getting nothing in return, it's really hard to work. That is, Jordan took over for that individual, which, yeah, and it took me 6 strings to get him out of the playoffs.
So Danny, one other thing we are going to do on the show, we're going to randomize the league. 11 divisions, which is awesome that it is.
Yeah.
11 divisions.
We better get started now because we're going to be
well,
here.
So I'm not having him read off every single name.
I'm not going to read off the names. I'm going to run it. And we'll go through. But Danny, as I'm doing some of this, talk a little bit about the league itself, like how it works. If there's people out there that don't quite understand, like the premise and how it works.
Sure. So, and I'll just work with one group for now. So I know it was started years ago. I believe the committee was Frank DeLuca, Mike Machici, and Rich Lamoni started it. I'm going to guess probably 16 or 17. I wish I knew specifically. But the concept was you had to maintain a 110 or better average. They had 32 bowlers, 16 in the north, 16 in the south. You bowled and you split the group up into 4 different groups of 4. And then you bowl your own division twice, and then you bowl everybody else once in your conference. The North doesn't bowl the South till the end. And you take the division leader off each group, and then the 12 remaining bowlers are your wild cards. We do 1 match every 2 weeks. I've been a little bit more flexible. I know when the league started, it was very like, these are the 2 weeks you have to bowl this match. We've allowed people to bowl ahead. I'm at a point now with so many bowlers where I've said, you're all adults. I can't babysit you all. Get your matches in. Pay for your matches, make sure you're talking to the bowling alley, because that's one of the issues that we're having is people have signed up and claimed a house without telling the house. So I think that's something that we need to get a little bit better at buttoning down. And then just making sure that when you show up for your match, you've told the house ahead of time that you have an ACST match happening. It's not fun. I know there was a match where somebody drove an hour and a half to find out that there was glow bowling happening. So we've had I think we've had 2 global ACST matches that were not intended. So that just comes back to like the communication thing, and we have our own little private group, so we're not killing Candlepin chat. If you want to follow it, you can just follow the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour on Facebook. That's where almost all the streaming should be happening. I know there's some stuff that happens on the TikTok ladies do theirs. I know Candlepin Corner has posted some stuff on YouTube, and CBN also will restream a lot of stuff. And for me, it's like, that's awesome. Like, I want the hub of it to be on ACST, but if people want to restream or reshare it or add to stuff and keep expanding like what is happening with the game, I think it's fantastic. And we're just, Micah's not on our committee, but he's been stepping up doing a lot of stats. So I think people are really interested in that. But I do have to say, I just want to shout out my committee real quick. Basically, it's all the treasurers. F is Ryan Prowse. E is Maurice Perry. We just added them this year. D is Nate Lees. C is Anthony Karen. B is Corey Alisi. And I do have to give a special shout out to, so he doesn't beat me up, is Rich Lamoni. Only because when Frank and Cheech stepped away from the league and I took it over, he messaged me and he's like, I'll stay on your committee if you'll have me. And I wrote back, please, because I had no idea what I was doing. And honestly, if it wasn't for him, I don't think this league exists.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just running through. Can you guys hear that, by the way?
No.
Okay, good. Okay.
When I start talking, I don't hear anything else.
I heard an echo before, but I don't think that was anything.
All right. I'm just so you know, I'm doing the Class A North at the moment. So once I have it, I'll share the. I'll actually share it.
We'll have a chat here. So Danny, what do you find is the most challenging thing about it?
I think because it's so open to schedule, like Friday Night Pro, everybody bowls Fridays. The once a month at Exeter or Millis. I know you guys have one at Maine. Is it Sundays at Maine too, or is it Saturdays? So Sundays, it's like this is my schedule. Well, the tough part is
South Paris too. I didn't forget that one. There's actually 2 in Maine.
Did not know that. I knew there was one. That's Augusta's the other one, right?
Yeah, there's Augusta and South Paris.
And I think those are awesome because I think you're more willing to travel if it's not every week. Like I think that's a cool. Like Bogey did a league. It was you bowled 2 matches every other week. I thought that was kind of a cool concept. But to answer your question, I think it's just when I get a message from somebody that's like, hey, I'm trying to bowl so-and-so, but we can't get our schedule together. And then I feel like, I have to go play. Okay, well, how do your Tuesdays look? Okay, well, how do your Wednesdays look? And then I feel like I have to create these. My inbox is crazy. Like I'm up sometimes like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out some of this stuff. But I would say scheduling is probably the toughest because we all have, families, jobs, other bowling commitments, trying to convince everybody like, okay, this is a league too. Like, just remember, you committed to, and I try to tell them too, it's 18 matches over 36 weeks. We should be able to figure out how to get this done.
And you bowl in it too. So not only do you do that,
I do.
but you also bowl in it. So that must bring its own special challenges when you have all that to think about and you're bowling a match.
So I do find that it's my lowest. I know it's the travel, but even my home average is lower than any of my other leagues. And I know there's like the head-to-head aspect of it, but it wasn't until like late last year that it dawned on me. I think a lot of it is every match I go to, somebody has, and I love hearing it. I don't want to complain at all. I want to make that clear. Any input I want to hear. That's how we're all in the pursuit of getting better. And but when I'm trying to bowl a match and I'm hearing, have you ever thought about redoing this rule or redoing that? And did you notice that this guy? And I'm like, I can't. I'm trying to bowl, and it's like I want to be be friendly and be everybody's friend, but it's like when when you're bowling, you're trying to get kind of in that mode, and it's tough to like keep that on-off switch, to be like, today I'm not the commissioner, I'm a bowler. Like, can I just bowl and you can message me tomorrow?
Yeah.
And maybe I have to put up that that divider. I don't know.
I don't know if you want to talk about it, but like, do you want to kind of explain pricing to maybe people who?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we did go up again this year just because we try to make sure we're fair to the houses as well. I know when the league started, it was 35 to the house, and we had done that forever. Bill Olson's right. Class D. I will say this: the lower the class, the better the bowlers are. Like, they are far more behaved. They get their matches in. The higher up you go.
Yeah, they're the fun ones who don't have the bowling schedule that the higher ups do.
I've heard that. Yeah. It's an exciting, and I'll just say this for me. The reason I took this league over when Frank had decided he no longer wanted to run it was he had just brought in, at the time it was called the semi-pro, now it's the B, and I could tell he didn't want to do it anymore. There was a lot that had happened. It was a COVID year. There was a lot going on. That's not my story to tell, but and I begged him. I said, please, I'll do anything to keep this league going. And I meant help him. I didn't mean take the league over. That was never my intention. But I thought there was something here. And, there was a lot of people that said people under a 110 average don't want to compete at, scratch. And I said, we do want to compete scratch. We just don't want to compete scratch against Craig. We want to compete against people that, it's going to be a good match. And we had 12 bowlers that year. So the North did have to bowl the South that year because we only had 6 and 6. And then, we had filled out the B the following year that I took it over. The year after that, we had the C plus Maine. Last year we had the D, and now we have 12 in the E on both sides. And then we have the North has an F because, like I said, the Boutwells flooded us, which is great. And I think Bowlrama got a bunch of bowlers too. And I think that's awesome. It used to be the other way. I felt like South was better, but to answer your question that I didn't answer, pricing. It's $50 a match.
It's so funny because I think of that. Every time I think of that, I always think of the episode of Big Bang Theory when he talks about how he's like, oh, have you ever thought about the origin of train of thought? And now I'm thinking about trains. And now I'm thinking about this. And now I'm thinking about, now I'm thinking about train of thought again.
Yeah. It's so right now it's $50 a match per person. And again, so it's 5 strings. So the deal is, like, if I'm bowling you and you're the home bowler, first of all, hell of a ride. But second of all, I give you $50 and then I'm done. Like, that's my obligation to pay. Okay. You then pay the house 45, and then you have to send 55 to the treasurer. So that was the committee. So A through F, whatever class you fall in. So obviously, like, you'd be an A bowler, you'd be sending your 55 to Lamoni. And then the treasurers do have the ability to suspend a bowler if they have not paid. That was something that all the treasurers have told me to stop micromanaging. They said, you have your hands in everything. You brought us on to be treasurers. Let us be treasurers. So I don't track who pays anymore. I let them handle it. And I've told them only put me in the loop if there needs to be if there's a problem that needs to be addressed. Other than that, we're pretty good. So
Danny, I'm sorry. As I was doing these, what was the cost was what again? It's
50 a week, or 50 a match per bowler.
Yeah.
45 to the house, 55 to the treasurer.
Okay. Sorry. My feeble brain said, wait, 50 and you're giving 45. How is that 55? And then I realized, wait, dumbass, there's two people here.
Two people paying. Yeah.
I've had that too, where people are like, so it's 100. And I'm like, no, you're only paying 50. So it's one of the things I've told people, like, make sure the away bowler gives you 50. And if not, I need to know about it ASAP. I can't deal with problems from 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like I'll tell you like a rule that we had to go over. I won't say who it was, but it was against me, which I was actually really happy it was, because then it didn't look like any favoritism. So he needed a spare to beat me, and he was staring at a single pin, threw the ball, and Bob Lee had front-facing cameras at the time. And ball left his hand. I looked, I saw where it was going, and I went, I lost. It cost me the string in total, and I'm not upset about it. Like, well, when on my way home, my phone starts going off because everybody caught on the front-facing camera his foot went over the line, and we don't have the sensors.
Oh.
So we talked about it as a committee, and we all agreed we're not going to instant replay. Like, if something happens in the moment and nobody catches it, we're not going back in time and fixing. So, which I thought it was good that it happened against me, so that way nobody can complain that I'm like, it cost me 6 points, that 1 foot foul. Nobody should be complaining. So, and nobody saw it in the moment. So I wasn't upset about it. It is what it is. His foot tickled the line. It was the angle saw it. And of course, once one person saw it and it made its rounds on Facebook chats, everybody saw it. So,
so then I guess leads to another question. Do you think that there would be, since everybody streams, would there be a place for that where you do have kind of a, like, because especially with now where we have live feeds, the bowler who it happened, and if somebody would do like instantly commentate and say, hey, pretty sure your foot went over the line, could you like pause it or do something like that and maybe go back into it? Do you think that would be?
Most people are just using their cell phone. Like when I stream, it's just my cell phone. When Paul Grant's streaming, it's just a cell phone. Like when in TikTok ladies, it's their cell phone. I know a few people have the rigs that have instant replay, and we've talked about it, but then it becomes this weird situation where, so instant replay is only allowed for some matches if you got the commentators that have the equipment for it. I think if we ever got to a point in the sport where every match had streaming with that type of technology, maybe if it was like a tournament, like you can have a challenge. But I with the amount of I did the math. There's well over 1,000 matches, which means there's 10 strings a match. It's 10,000 strings we're bowling. I'm not going through a review process. And then the concern too is, if you don't do it in the moment, what's the statute of limitations? I don't need people realizing like, shit, I really needed those 2 points, and then looking for lobs or foot fouls, and now I'm changing scores from week 2. It's just, I think it would have to be a moment, and it would have to be consistent for.
Like it would have to be like day of or like night of, and if you went back and just like, but again, you wouldn't be able to change.
You get one challenge, 2 if you win, just like in another.
I think
the match.
Yeah. I think it would be if you had a streamer that had instant replay with that angle, like what Brian's saying is, somebody lobs or whatever, and you say, I want to challenge that was a lob, and in that moment you stop bowling and you watch it.
Yeah.
So I think that's but those are little things, like who would have thought of instant replay 5 years ago? Like we weren't dealing with those situations really on just your regular season matches. Maybe, if you're doing a King of the Hill and I know Classic Candlepins or New England Candlepins or King of the Palace, those shows, like maybe they could have. But I think when you're just bowling, it's a regular league. Like at the end of the day, I love this league. It's a league. We can't.
It's true. So people, I don't know if you've seen the comments or can see the comments, but a lot of people are saying, like league reviews in the finals. Like, is that like maybe you just put that into this year or next year and you just say simply for the finals, if you have a review or if you have something that you want to call, like, or playoff, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
So not this past year, but the year before, we talked about having a lob line judge and a foot foul judge because there was a bowler that some bowlers claimed lobbed. That's going to be the nicest way I can put this. And that bowler made it all the way to the finals. And we had talked about, like, if this is going to be egregious throughout the whole thing and they're not calling their own lobs, like, what are we going to do? So we opted to do lob line judge. Ironically, his opponent said, well, we haven't had one all season. Let's not do it. And opted to not do it. So when we talked about it, the one thing that I kept hearing was, if you didn't do it all year or all throughout the playoffs, why would you just start it now? My answer is it's the most important match, but that would be my reason.
Right. Well, it's just like if you think of like a certain sport, I can't think of one right.
Well, even baseball has like an extra. Don't they have an extra
umpire? They have an extra umpire.
Yeah.
They have like the right field line and left field line umpires where they can call it a little. They get closer. They get a closer look instead of just judging from the first base or the third base line, right? Like
that's kind of what I had said too, but nobody really seemed to. I was surprised because even the bowlers that abide by the rules a little bit better as far as lobs and foot fouling. And I know some people say, I know that's a whole nother can of worms that I don't want to open right now, but they didn't want it. So I said, okay, well, the offer was there. You guys didn't want it. So, best of luck to both of you. I'll be in the back watching. I love the finals. All I do is hand the trophy off and schmooze. It's a blast. Just because it's the whole year. Last year we had 128 guys, or I don't want to say guys because we made it co-ed, so men and women. And we're down to the finals. Like, it's so fun to watch, and just and I keep telling people, like, this is your moment. Like, enjoy it. Like,
and you are the finals at Millis?
No, so it has. So we might do it a little different this year, just because there's so many divisions. So historically, since I took it over, it's all done in one day, back to back to back, and it's a long day. We did 4. And now we might have to have 6, so we might split it. The only rule we had was it had to be at a neutral house. And in the 3 years I took it over, and I'll just, because you brought up Millis, Waters came out of the South both times, and he comes out of Millis, and then Daly came out of Millis last year and won the South. So we never could have it at Millis. We have too many bowlers out of Millis as it is. So the odds of no division having a Millis bowler is tough. So the first year I did it, we did it out of Academy. And then the second year, Academy got disqualified pretty quickly, I think, because, well, not disqualified, but 3 out of the 4 bowlers, I think it was in the C North, were all out of Academy. So we're like, well, that's probably out. So that we did at Spare Time. And then last year was really cool. We did it at Harvard Lanes. We didn't even have an ACST bowler out of Harvard Lanes, but, they had a new owner, and Skeeter Beers was fixing up all the machines, and, they did a fantastic job. So we don't know where it's going to be. We try to make it so it's not a house that one bowler has bowled a ton of matches out of.
Right.
Because I think that would be cool if there was one place that you could have the finals, and maybe it's over 2 days. Obviously, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'd have 5, maybe 6.
6. Yeah, because the winner of the F North would be considered the F champion for the year. Just like when Maine, because Maine only had the 16, there wasn't 2 sides. They, Weber still got his trophy and all that stuff. So they would still be considered the F champion. I don't know.
I think that would be pretty cool to have it like in one place with, you've got, lob line judge, you've got,
Yeah, I mean, I'm all down. There's enough people. One of the things I love too is a ton of people come out and watch, which I think is great. Like the D had a huge amount of people come out, which was great because it's not, Friday Night Pros, you're once a month. Like, I think a lot of those A guys are used to those worlds. I mean, you can't not be used to people all around you. So I think it's really cool for some people, like with sub 100 averages, to get that moment. This is your moment. Like,
so what's the average cutoffs? Because I'm looking, by the way, the divisions are all randomized. I've got it right here. I'll share the sorry, I got
on our bowlers only page. I don't know if I should shout him out, but if he wants to take credit for it, he can. But a bowler put my face on Kevin Nash with Shawn Michaels, and yeah, it was because I did want to address it in the group and explain, like, hey, this is where we're at. This is our list.
This is your list, and I'm trying. Bear with me 1 second here. I'm going to, because I know I'll have to. It's a little tough to see when you're talking the way you're looking at it.
You might have to go out a little bit more.
Yeah. So
You haven't got all the names, but it is a little. I think you can go out one more.
Oh, too far.
Oh, too far. Now go out one more, 2 foot. Go one back in. There
Right
you
there.
go. Perfect.
there you go.
Nailed it.
So here's your A's, your B's, your C's.
Oh man. So I was in the B with Bob Lee 2 years. I fell to the C last year, and our last match, both times, we tied 7-7. So now,
And
now I
you're
got to
in
bowl him
again.
twice.
So A only bowls A, correct? B only bowls B.
Yes.
C only bowls
Yep.
C. Okay.
So basically, so people know, like Division A, we'll just go with A North, for example. A North, John, Mike, Nate, and PD Pete are all going to be one division. Logan, Bob, Dave, and Ryan will be another division. Dino, Corey, Steve, and Glennis will be another division. John, Steven, Steve, and Cody will be another division. So,
okay. So it's 4 divisions within the division.
Yep. So
okay.
Your class is A.
Is he a big pussy this year? What happened?
Who's this?
Josh Daly.
He dropped out.
Well,
He took his trophy and went home.
He took his trophy and went home, huh?
What a friggin' wiener. You need to kick him out of any tournaments. What a wiener.
So
he's not allowed to bowl in Millis anymore.
I don't know if he's watching, but Kyle drew Charlie, Justin, and Sean Taylor.
That's fun.
So
okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay,
because Kyle was our cut, and I said there was a bowler in the B who actually said he'd be willing to switch if somebody if one of the people on the fringe, and Kyle said, he was like, I'm gonna take a shot at the A. I want to push myself, and he did. He got a draw.
He's taking a shot. Yeah,
he got a draw.
Wow.
But I know Kyle really well. He's gonna put up a fight, but that's a draw.
Well, I mean, look at that last one with Douglas,
Micah, Nichols, and Jeremy. Yeah, I mean they're all good bowlers. I guess.
Oh yeah.
It's not like you can look at a division and go, that's a bum division, but
yeah, it's gonna be
now. I see why you wanted me to randomize it.
Yeah. So
okay.
So we always did it by house. I know, like way back when, they tried really hard to like 4 Millis bowlers, 4 CPL bowlers. Like they try to keep it really by house. We kind of moved away from that, and Millis. I think there was 13 bowlers out of Millis in the A, and I know like Bob Allard just said Millis is fast, and maybe that's part of it where they have higher averages because they bowl more out of there. I don't know. Like could be it. Could just be we have a lot of bowlers out of there. No idea. This could be a million reasons, but
I'm going to stop you a quick second, Danny.
Sure.
I'm going to stop that Millis is fast stuff.
It's not.
I've bowled in Millis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
I didn't find it fast. I found it fair.
So,
and I found it quick. Like,
yeah.
But any big strings that I've seen from like PD's 200, that was one of the best strings I've ever seen. Period. End of none.
He never missed an object.
Yeah.
It was no. When I got messaged that someone's actually Fournier was bowling against him, called me and said you got to watch this, and he told me he was at like 180. I forget what he was at, but he was at some stupid number that they knew he was going to crack too. And but the funny thing was, and I don't want to knock PD Pete at all, he threw a 227 that string. His first 2 strings combined were 226.
Right? Yeah, it wasn't great. I saw that. Yeah,
the 227. Like I've seen a lot of bowling. I've seen a lot of big strings. I've been a part of a lot of big strings. That is by far the best string I've ever seen.
Yeah, somebody said it once that for that moment there might have never been another bowler for whatever that time span was. There might have never been a better bowler. Like,
no, I mean, and you got to look at it that not only did he do that 2 boxes at a time, but they also had a breakdown.
They did. I joke because my nephew was the one fixing the belt. I was like, "Hey, look, you're famous."
You know. So I don't know. Is it fast compared to, a Central Park?
Yeah.
Sure.
So somebody who bowls there a lot, what I will say is you'll get your breaks and you got to jump on those breaks and you can put a lot of marks together in that house. I just threw my high 5 there. I went 665. I didn't look at a ton of splits, although I did have a 2-fill 3 box because I think it was the third or fourth box of the first string. I threw a spare, blew out the 1-5, cherried the 2, and then I went through the hole. So I was like, okay, but for whatever reason, out of nowhere, and there's no better evidence of this of watching the Seaholm Waters playoff match. I think Jeremy hit the head pin 17 times in a row for 15 splits.
Yeah,
it can get real splitty, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, when I was there during the singles, I averaged 5.5 splits per game.
Yeah, it can get very splitty.
Awful.
Yeah, and
still out average Josh Daly. He sucks.
Yeah, he did. You did. But that's what so I'm not going to say it's not, it won't move, and you can't. I think that's why you see some of those big numbers at Millis, because once you get going, like the thing about when I threw again, that's my high five, is I never had to make the adjustment. I never had to move up. I never had to like take something off my ball. I kept throwing the same ball, and I kept getting splash after splash after splash. I wasn't getting a lot of strikes, but I was getting a lot of spare opportunities. But I've also had those days where, you throw an 88, and because no matter what you do, you're looking at 3 and 2s. So you can put up some big numbers, but you can also have some real frustrating days as well.
Yeah.
So you asked about the average cutoff train of thought.
Yeah.
So we kind of went away from that a little bit. It used to be 110 hard line. And then I don't know how much you remember about my ACST post, but I used to post we need a C bowler. Now we only do that if we have an injury or a drop for whatever reason. Basically, sign up, top 6, and we're going to split you north and south based on what your location is. And top 16 is going to be A. So the example given was Kyle Hetty. We had a bowler drop out relatively late. Actually, we had 2 drop out relatively late, both in the A South, and it bumped Kyle up. So next man up. So instead of making a post saying we need an A bowler, we said we'll take anybody in the South, next man up. So I'm not sure who the next highest average was. I don't know. It's on that list I sent you. I could probably look real quick. So if we had another, Mark Gallagher would have been next man up. So it's not necessarily an average cut. It's more so just you're the 16th best bowler.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got it.
So. But yeah, no, and I like the fact that it's I was in the B for 2 straight years, and then I fell to the C, so I got to bowl a whole new group of people. Actually, a great one was the first year we had the C. We had somebody drop out, and Cheech was debating taking it over, and he was concerned because obviously he's had some struggles with his bowling, but we all know if he ever finds it again, that C would have been crushed. There was nobody that could put up the type of numbers that Cheech has put up historically. And, we got him in, and I was nervous that some people were going to be a little bit, this guy's, a pro bowler. He's bowled Exeter, he's bowled Worlds. Almost every single person was so pumped to be able to bowl somebody with his resume, because they got to bowl somebody they don't typically get that chance to bowl against. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
This is a type of, I'm just looking at these names. I'm looking at, Danny, I'm listening to kind of how you explain this. And oh my God, I would kill to bowl in a league like this with this many people and things like that. The number one, it's basically match play.
Yeah, which I like too. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. I am.
Yeah, I really wish we could get one going here. And I've been floating it around to a few people. And I think if we could do it like you guys do, is you just have divisions. We could do a Moncton division. We could do a Fredericton division. We could do a Halifax division and a Truro division. If we could figure out a way to get that going, I think it'd be a great thing down up here too. But
and if you need a template, all joking aside, if you want a template for anything we have, I can send you whatever we use. I'd love to see it up there. Even if it's not our thing, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I would
Jordan
too.
Cheech has one more 200 than Craig Holbert too.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Not the Cheech part, just the fact that Craig hasn't thrown a 200. Yeah. I will say this too. We did a 9-pin tournament at Millis, and with the 9-pin scoring, 200. Parkinson threw one, string 1, and that was it.
Yeah, it's not as easy as you think. Everybody thinks that when you get a 9-pin tournament, it must be a lot easier to get 200s. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. We've had three of them, 3 tournaments now in Moncton, and there's only been 1 200 thrown. So
yeah, and I shouted you out, and I'll do it again. That we were handicapping it, and everyone said you can't handicap a 9-pin, and you said yeah you can. So I messaged you, and I was like, how do you guys do it? So that Outrun the Bear 9-pin tournament, I want to thank you for helping me walk through how the handicap worked and everything. It worked out great. So no complaints.
So that leaves me a squirrel moment, Danny. When's the next Outrun the Bear?
September 21st, the day before the Pro Series.
Okay. And this is that a scratch?
Single scratch. So scratch. So I think we have 40 or 50 bowlers signed up right now. I haven't really been posting it because I've been doing this. But now that this is squared away and I can get the schedule out, I'll probably start annoying people with posts on that. So when you were talking about tournaments, and you're like, nobody else sent me anything. I was like, that includes me.
Yeah.
And then I'll also shout out too, so I don't get beat up. The ACBT finals. I did not make the cut. I think I came in 58th. So if unless 24 people drop out, I got a shot. The ACBT finals is going to be at Harvard Lanes on September 7th. They're going to take the top 24 point getters and do the bracket out there. So I think that's going to be. I think Candlepin Corner is going to have that stream.
Okay.
Pretty sweet. Yeah.
When do the ACST matches officially start?
So officially September 1st. So it's always the first week. But going back to that rule of you can bowl ahead, I've told the bowlers that once the schedule comes out, go for it. So you might start seeing matches this weekend.
And more people streaming?
I think so. No? I mean, I tell people, if you're streaming, I want it on the ACST page. But then if it's restreamed or shared, or I know, again, not to keep hyping them up, but when the TikTok ladies do it, they always call themselves like a supplemental stream. So there'll be an ACST stream, and then they'll have their stream on the side. And I think, just because one of my goals, I try to have goals. One of my goals was to expand the league, was to make it co-ed, and then to monetize it. And I really want to get this league monetized because I'd love to pump money into this prize fund. And if I can somehow, and I know it's not big money, but if I can throw something into this prize fund from getting some type of streaming, even if it's clicks, that's my next thing. So I do want a hub of all the matches so I can start getting the monetization so I can start pumping money into the league.
Well, with 164 bowlers and 11 divisions, or I guess would these be conferences with divisions inside the conferences?
So the A is like the class. This is how I look at it. So class A, class B, class C, D, E, F. Then your conference is A North, A South, B North, B South, and then inside of that is your division.
Okay.
So I will say the E and the F are a little bit different. For anybody listening, I did make a post on it on our little side group. People know. So what we're gonna do is split the 12 bowlers. So can you move it a little bit so we can see the E through F? I don't know if that works. Perfect.
Yep.
So those are going to be split. So your first 6 and your second 6, they're going to be split in half. So somebody did ask, is the North going to bowl the South? No, not until the finals. The winner of both divisions are going to get a bye. And then the remaining 10 bowlers are fighting for 4 playoff spots for the wild card. So that's how we're going to do the E and the F.
So
6 in each.
We've got a question in the chat.
Ooh, hot darn.
So at this point, we don't have a sponsorship amount. I mean, if you want to sponsor Outrun the Bear, we're always looking for sponsors for that. We get you up on the TV screens. We can talk afterwards if you want. I don't know if you come out east for your business, but we are looking for that. But what we have told bowlers, and this does happen, is some people have the bowlers are sponsored. So some bowlers have asked to have a company logo or name put on their shirts. I usually tell them either get it done side. Kate does all these shirts. Kate's been doing all the ACST shirts for us. I know if it's a company, she charges I think $5 extra if it's just the name of a company. Obviously, if it's one of those crazy with multicolored, it gets a little bit more pricey. But some people just buy their own shirts separate. I know Fernando also makes shirts. You don't have to buy it through us. So more so the bowlers. If you want to sponsor somebody in particular, reach out to a bowler and see if they'll put your name on their shirt for some money. That would be the route I would go because I think that's kind of cool that some of the bowlers have their sponsors on the shirt.
Yeah, no, that is cool.
I have to mention something before we start to finish up here. I was mistaken. We had 2 people throw 200s. Travis Wallace had a 222 at our last one, so I had to make sure I mentioned him because he's very angrily messaging me right now. So.
At least you know he's watching.
Yeah, he is watching. Yeah,
that's good. Hey,
there you go, Travis.
I will say this. I don't know Travis all that well. I had a great time this weekend, really chatting with him and, watching him bowl and stuff like that. He's come a long way in a short amount of time. So
look at that, Travis. You even got more chats. You're welcome. I should be getting a big thank you message here in like 4 seconds once I look at my phone.
No, that's one of the beauties of running that tournament this weekend is I got to walk around and just talk to people. And,
it's the best.
And I mean, I hate talking to people, so it's really tough for me.
You're shy, right?
Yeah, very, very shy. So no, it just it was just kind of cool, like just getting to talk to a lot of different people. But I don't know. I'm looking at these divisions. I'm looking at like 164 names here. Listening to this whole conversation, just
yeah, I'm excited. I wish we had something going here. I wish I could. I'm gonna see what I can do, but hopefully get something started here in Canada.
Brian and I have talked, like we have literally talked about this on our rides to bowling tournaments and stuff.
I would love to get a North and South Maine group.
Be easier to do East-West, honestly.
Oh, would it? Okay. I mean, I don't know. You know the geography better than I do. So that's why, so when we ran Maine, it was Matt Huff and Mark Weber. And I basically, I did all the stat keeping for them, and they kind of came in with our rules and things like that. But I'm like, those people, the geography, I'm leaving a lot of it up to you. But it was great. We had a group chat, we made everything work. But I'm not going to sit there. Just like if we do go west, which we're not ruling out, like we're not going to rule out west. I would want somebody out in the west to kind of represent it. I wouldn't want to do it with our group out here because you want somebody who knows the lay of the land.
Which makes sense.
So
like an AFC, NFC type thing.
Yeah. I would love to see it. I know it got talked about. I know there's a lot of guys like that Stanford area, like Bull Arama. It seemed like they had a decent amount of people interested, but they couldn't quite get it together to put the group in.
No. And I mentioned the streaming only because I do, Brian and I live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny living in the state of Maine. We're an hour and a half from Portland. We're an hour and a half from Bangor, and we're an hour from Augusta. So we literally live in the middle. And
triangle of death.
Yeah. And Calvin's been to the house. He knows I live in the middle of nowhere. Like it is what it is. And Chris is right. I just saw his chat here. He's not wrong with this.
Yeah, so that goes back to what I said about I would start Maine with 10. If you could get 10 bowlers that are close, we're talking 32, but if you can do 10 North, 10 South, or 10 East, 10 West, however you want to do it. And then again, I think more people are willing to do scratch than most people realize. They want to bowl scratch against other 1-0s or 90. Like they want to bowl their group.
Here's the problem, Danny, with Maine, and you've kind of mentioned it in the past, is you take a look at your top bowlers, mm-hmm. and we'll talk, Chris Merrill, Mark Weber, Mark Carrier, and Cole Fry.
Yep.
And then it starts, and I know there's others. And
yeah, God, I think Kai did really well in the ACST.
There's others, but when you look at when Chris was really bowling, and I know he's got a lot of things going on with his life and coaching and, daughter going into high school and being high school sports and things like that. But you take it, if Chris was averaging 128 to 130 and you've got 10 guys and your 10th guy is averaging 115.
Yeah. And we have that in the A too. So you have Waters who averages 130, I think. And then, and again, don't want it to come off like I'm knocking, but Kyle Heddy's 111.
Yeah.
He's going to have to work to get points off that. And it's not to say that he can't, but he's punching uphill. And the hope is that
he's going to have to bowl.
Yep.
So
and it happens every year. It's the middling league. The middling groups are always very close. Like there's nobody who's going to run away with like the B, C. Like they're all very close, but the highest group and the lowest group always usually has the gap, I found. And then we talked about like people have said, why don't you start like a central division, like kind of make it a little bit more compact so that way people aren't traveling as far. My only concern is the more you segregate the space, the wider the gap in average becomes.
Yeah.
And I think that's where what I'm afraid of going that way. And the only other option I could see is if we switched it to 10, but then, how does that affect payouts? And I know that's an important thing for people too. So it's constant.
Yep.
But we're always looking to get better. I'm always open to ideas. So we've amended rules every year. We're always trying to get better.
So the last question I really have, Danny, is with this ACST.
Yep.
What other things besides Outrun the Bear? What other things you got going on at like Millis right now?
Yeah. So we have Kate and I run the kids league there. We had 34, 35 kids last year, I think. We call it a junior senior league because some of our teenagers didn't like being called juniors for some weird reason. So we call them seniors. Basically, we don't go by age. It's bumper and no bumper for the kids that aren't ready to come off the bumpers, whether it's a skill issue or a what's the word I'm looking for? Just motivation or believing in yourself. Some people just they don't feel like they're ready to take the bumpers off. Confidence. Words are tough for me. It's after 9.
You're an accountant.
I deal with numbers, not words.
Yeah.
I married the English major, so. But yeah, so whether it's a confidence issue, skill issue, and then once they come off the bumpers, they move up, and then they're in the senior league. So we have that going on in Millis. We have leagues 6 nights a week, plus the junior league on Saturdays. The only reason we don't have leagues on Saturdays is because the owner, PJ, actually retired, but he was one of the owners and the manager of Millis. He said, keep Saturdays for families, and that's the only reason we don't put leagues on Saturdays. We have the once a month that Jordan and Cheech run. We've got 100 bowlers there. That's insane.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm not in that one. I know people keep asking me questions on it, and I have to keep telling them that's not my baby.
So you guys have 100 bowlers for that once a month.
They do, yeah. I'm not even.
No,
no, and it's crazy. Yeah, they have 20 teams, 5-person teams.
Jesus.
They do 2 boxes at a time. They bowl 19. They bowl everybody once. They started yesterday.
Yeah,
and then they started getting 2 weeks. They have their next one, and then they go once a month after that. I do know they were trying really hard to not cross over Exeter's time slot because there is some crossover in that. That's a handicap league, though. They do, I think it's 90% handicap. The top 20 captains. What's kind of cool with them is if you sign up and you're one of the first 100 people to sign up, you have to get drafted. It's like Exeter. They take everybody, and then it's based on who the best bowlers are. This is because it's so many people, because it's handicap. I don't know if they're going to change the rule down the road or whatever, but I think it's really cool because there's some people like, I'm just nervous, I'm not going to get drafted. I'm like, no, in this league, if you're in, you get drafted.
Just saying, 1-7-10 is still taking sign-ups. Or sign-ups.
Sigh.
Yeah.
Hey,
I guess I'll bowl.
He's a new dad again, so we will give him
lots of sighing.
Yeah.
We've gone way over what we were going to. So Danny, thank you.
Sorry, Calvin.
That's okay.
Thank you for sorry. Oh, Mark. Yeah, we know, buddy. We know.
That's all right. You're so cute. That's all that matters.
And he did bring the baby in. Him and Chrissy brought the baby in on Sunday for a little bit. So freshly made. Brought him in.
Freshly
Jordan
made.
just said about the once a month that they don't see that rule changing. I like that. I really do like that. I remember, I'll just say it quick. The first year I was in the league, we were all out. So they did the draft room in one of the birthday party rooms. So all of us non-captains were on the outside of it. And it got to the end, and John Ahern was out there, and he hadn't been drafted yet with 10 picks to go. And somebody looked at him and goes, "Are you nervous?" He goes, "No, they have to draft me. I'm here."
That's good.
Funny.
for those that want to follow along with the ACST, you'll see all sorts of stuff on Candlepin Chat over the course of the year. Follow the TikTok ladies; they'll be streaming.
Yeah, CBN does a bunch. Candlepin Corner does a bunch.
Yeah, I know. Charlie streams when he's when he's got a match. I know there's others that do as well, and I'm thankful for that because I will sit and watch from my recliner and just enjoy watching good bowling. So,
and for anybody like looking to get into streaming that's like nervous about it, like take a crack at it. Like that's how you find out if you're good or not. I'm really open as long as the big rule we had to put in is that the streamers have to make sure they get permission, and I'm wording it that way on purpose because we had some situations where streamers would just say, "Hey, I'm calling your match," and it's like, then
forgot about that. Sorry,
Brittany's no longer in the league. That's the only reason I didn't bring her up. So the other two, I know who you're thinking of, but they're no longer in the ACST.
Okay.
I mean, they're more than welcome to stream as long as there's a Facebook there's another stream happening to the ACST or it's restreamed. I'm totally fine with any of that stuff as well. But yeah, so Charlie's saying streaming brings out the fun. I mean, I've seen a lot of people stream that, last year was their first year, and it's fun. Like, give it a whirl. As long as I just ask that you try to act a little bit professional. Like you can have fun with it, but like you can't be swearing every other word or things like that. There you go. Corey's actually messaging me as we speak because if you go to that page that I sent you guys about the schedule, Corey is updating it live as we're talking. So the schedule for anybody listening, the schedule should be updated.
Oh, I've got to send him the. Or did he grab it off from here?
So when you put it up, I took a screen grab of it. So I think he's manually doing this.
Oh, I could have just shared it. It was just a Google Docs. I could have just shared with him. That might have been easier than doing the screen grab.
Might have been.
But that's okay. I'll send it over to you anyway, Danny.
Appreciate it.
Maybe. There we go. Share. Yes, I am going to share because I'm a sharer. All right, you should have it. I just shared it with you.
So I will say for anybody who's looking at the schedule, there is some like linkage stuff that we have to work on as far as like how it's all going to map together. So I'm sure you'll see some changes. The houses may not be right yet. I don't know if Corey's fixing the houses, so that's something like. But as far as who you're bowling, that'll be ready to go tonight. And I'll fix some of the back end stuff throughout the week.
Cool. This is great, Danny. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for discussing the uncomfortable stuff that we had to discuss and get it out of the way. We will move forward and no longer will bring that up.
I know. Hopefully, that's the last thing. And I know I joked about it, but I said at least it shows that people are passionate about the league. But I wish it didn't go the way it went. Chris Jones, which depends. Are you the Chris Jones in the league? There's two Chris Jones. There's one that bowls out of timber. Are you the ACST Chris Jones? Because if so, you're part of the clique.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. This has been great. Appreciate you coming on, taking some time away from the family to share your knowledge of the ACST and kind of walk us through what is sure to be a great league this year.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping to do a little bit better than I did last year.
So the next time we're going to be on, leagues will be. Sorry, I thought the cat was jumping on the laptop and we were going to lose everything again. I had a Jeff Stirrup moment there when Brian and I had Jeff on as a guest. We were 20 minutes in having a great conversation, and a cat jumped up onto my laptop and ended the show.
The recording.
Yeah,
that's okay. We did a whole podcast where we lost the recording.
Yeah. Kimba says, Danny, for a regular member of the podcast.
I have my own podcast that I do once a year.
Yeah, I don't think he can handle our schedule.
I'll tell you what. I will come on anytime you ask me. But you guys are great as a trio, and whatever guests you have on, I'm not gonna weasel my way into fourth man in. But I appreciate.
No, I was gonna say, speaking of the other podcast, Mr. Athern was a guest on.
I was a guest, very happy guest to be on there.
Yep.
Good time with Jeremy and Danny.
So I think we've done.
It was a good show.
We've done every iteration, so I think we got to do the 5 of us at this point.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on
is that Infinity War? Is that when we all come together?
Yeah, I'm just waiting on the collab between the approach and ripping the rack.
Yeah, I know we have two guests we have lined up, and then Jeremy and I were talking about, we got to at some point do the crossover as an episode / we'll probably do yours live and then re-upload ours, or we'll make it however we want to.
We'll figure it out.
We'll do the split on the take.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We'll have to work creative in there too. How we want to,
yeah,
who's the heels, who the faces,
Yeah, we definitely gotta get creative involved. All that good stuff, folks. We're gonna wrap it up. Approaching the rack.
That's a different podcast.
That's a totally different podcast.
Do not Google that, folks. Do not.
No.
So I gotta say quickly is my faucet in my kitchen just totally shit the bed tonight. And Brian, I think you saw that. I think Brian and Calvin probably saw the snap.
I showed it to Kelly and she goes, "So when do you have to go fix Tim's faucet?"
No, Aaron's taking it.
I was saying Aaron's gonna take care of that one.
Aaron's got this one. So Angie's like, Angie looks at this and she goes, we're buying stuff. She goes, Do I need to get some caulk? And I just looked at her, and you don't say those things to me because of who I am.
Tim, terms and conditions of YouTube. Terms and conditions of YouTube.
What? Caulk. CAULK.
Yeah.
Okay.
What were you thinking?
You meant.
Pervert. Make sure you enunciate that L.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, but it's made me laugh now for 3+ hours that, my wife after 28 years still will say stuff and then turn immediately, look at me and go, not a word. Yeah.
I just heard Kate laughing in the other room. Like
I laughed the hardest that I've laughed in a long time when one of the memories of you post on Facebook came up of the dude throwing the first pitch right into the dude's groin.
Oh my God.
It's still the best thing I've ever seen.
But you know what's funny is I watched that. It's my laugh on that. It just no ladders will be involved. This is not a tables ladder.
OSHA was not called.
I'm not getting on a ladder.
Well, Angie won't allow me to get on a ladder anymore. So
that's because you stack them on top of each other.
It worked previously.
Well, how else is he going to get to the top?
Right, I'm short.
Buy a bigger ladder.
And just so you know, the day after you have a little back procedure is not the time to be climbing ladders and
I would imagine not.
And jumping off and falling off from them. Jumping off. I jumped before I fell. Kim's like, I think you need a little more than caulk. Yes. I
need L is getting harder and harder every time you say.
Oh, harder is totally what it's getting. But yes, Lowe's got my money tonight. So hopefully Aaron shows up tomorrow and I get a new sink. Anyway, we're going to end the show. For questions, comments, concerns, please send them to rippingtherackpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us all over the place. You can find Brian on Big Booty Brian on OnlyFans. Big Booty Brian. So, Brian, how about some terms and conditions and all that good stuff?
Well, the views and expressions of tonight's Ripping the Rack podcast are those of Tim, Brian, Calvin, and our special guest this evening, Danny. If you don't like anything of what we said, don't email Danny. He has so much going on already. Just go ahead and take those and email them to the recycle bin on your computer. Thank you so much.
Okay, now where else can they hear us, Brian?
You already said everything. I
didn't. I said Facebook and Twitter.
And you said Spotify.
Not even a thing
I didn't say anything about Spotify.
Yeah. Dude, Twitter's not even around anymore. It's X.
Sorry.
X will give it to you.
X, but not X. And I can't even go there. You can't find us on that site either. Fine.
Spotify is where to watch us, guys.
Brian's
Spotify
not going to say it. You can find us on YouTube. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page. to get notified and all that good stuff. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Anchor, Breaker, iHeart, iTunes. You can find us all over the place.
Yeah, but it's Breaker sends everything to everything anyways.
But they still have people go there to look at things.
The same people that still use MySpace.
All right,
I miss MySpace.
Are you two done?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Did you guys see that post about like Gen Z couldn't handle MySpace in the top 8s?
Oh.